Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd show you another update on the Star Trek ship I've been working on, and I'm kind of excited. It's coming along pretty good, actually. I worked on it a lot last night and a little bit more this morning. And this is where it's at right now. Now, what I did do is I did a quick job on filling in the rest of the blocks on the ship. But a lot of things are going to be tweaked. Essentially speaking, I wanted to see the whole thing in entirety to start making adjustments. So I kind of did a lot of things quickly, but I'm going to do a lot of revisions to areas. Also, I really appreciate all the comments on the last video. It already altered quite a few of my plans, and I really appreciate the information. It's going to help hopefully make the ship better. To start with, one of the comments did suggest that the thickness of the saucer was a bit too much, and then I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it did look a little bit too thick. Originally, it was planned out to have like another row of windows above this row of windows separated by a block, but that just made the total height of the saucer just a little too thick. It was a little bit jarring there. So I slimmed it down. I cut the whole saucer down by one block on the top area, so it's not quite as tall. Also, I raised the saucer up by one block and added a trim ring kind of down below where the saucer would connect to the neck part of the ship. So that is set up a little bit differently now. Um, Let me just try to fly around here and show you what I do have in place here on the other parts of the ship right now. Now, I have not touched the nacelles, but I got big plans for those. I'm going to try to cover that here in the video in just a bit. Um, so currently, this is what the back side of the ship is looking like. I'm not exactly on board with everything I got going on here right now. I try to do some things over here, but I'm probably going to be manipulating a lot of this until I get it dialed in or I'm really happy with it. I took this area over here and kind of set it as a big old landing pad, but I actually am thinking about kind of reducing the size of the landing pad and trying to add in some more block work, or maybe here, let me get the HUD on to round it off a little bit more in this general area, and reduce the size of the landing pad. It'll still have a landing pad back here, but maybe further back. I just wanted to try to get a little bit more going on here and not have this big flat chunk going on. But again, a lot of changes are probably going to be happening to this general area. Um, so on the bottom back over here, I put in a big hangar door. This is a 13 by 7 hangar door currently. Now, obviously I don't really want to see a big old Empyrion hangar door on the ship, so I've got some options. One option would be I get rid of the hangar door and put in a force field, and then maybe some louvered ramps or something that can seal this area. So I'll be messing with that as well. But essentially speaking, I just wanted to get again all the blocks in place so I could get a good look at the overall ship and then start making a lot of adjustments. Now the top of the saucer, this is a big work in progress as well. I filled it in pretty quickly right now, and try to use wedge blocks essentially to make like lines, like body lines on it. And I don't have these worked out. I have this jarring shape right back here that I'm really not on board with, and it needs a lot of other tweaks and details and things going on the top of the saucer. Pretty much the same process that took place with doing the Proxima. This had a whole ton of revisions to the top of the saucer until I finally got on board with it. So I'll be doing that process as well. So another big thing is talking about the nacelles, and there's several things I wanted to bring up on that aspect. To start with, at the front profile of the ship right now, I think the nacelles are just placed too high in the air now. And what I'm thinking about doing is changing this arm here. Right now it's coming in at a 45-degree angle from this point up to where the nacelle is. I'm thinking about changing that to a 22.5 or a structural frame block setting that's a little bit more than 22.5 and angling this out. I probably should keep the HUD on, I guess. Angling out more like this, which would also drop down the height of the nacelles several blocks, which I think would look better from the front profile. It'd probably have a little bit more of that Voyager look, and the Voyager has kind of low riding nacelles back there, and I was thinking about kind of adopting that to some extent. Also, on the nacelles themselves, it was brought up in comments that maybe I should just go through and bury these thrusters. I'm kind of actually really thinking about doing that, and I wanted to run it by you. I don't normally bury thrusters in Empyrion creations. I usually like to keep them with like open air vent for the exhaust, just on a plausibility standpoint. And not to mention, I have heard that there is a server option that's probably on some servers out there that will not allow the thrusters to work if they are blocked. So it's technically possible, but for the most part, I don't think the game developers themselves will ever change that setting. And the whole reason I really would like to bury the thrusters is, first, I want to redesign these whole nacelles. The nacelles have got to look good on the ship, and that is imperative. And this whole setup here kind of sucks right now. And I wanted to kind of round off like the front and the back of the nacelles, probably put in some of that Star Trek glowy, which was also suggested in comments. I'll have to experiment with that and how that's going to look. I didn't want to have it too much, but it really should have something there, and these should be more of a roundish design and not this weird shape that I've got going on trying to fit in the thruster behind it. So yeah, I just want to get your take on the idea of not having all the thrusters visible. I just think I could make better looking nacelles if that were the case. But again, I do plan on redesigning these nacelles, and it might be more than one redesign too. It all depends until it looks good. But I definitely wanted to change the overall positioning of the nacelles so they're lower down as well. I think that would be helpful with the overall looks of the ship. I was kind of playing around a little bit with the some of the possible turret positions on here, and it's going to have a lot of potential turret positions all over the saucer area, both on the top and the bottom of the saucer. That's where I plan on putting the overall majority of weaponry on the ship. Now, something else that was brought up too, an extremely good idea, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to adopt it anyway. I was talking about the shielding, and in last video I said that I wanted to have a full complement of shield parts. That would be including 8 large, 8 medium, 8 small, and 2 fusion reactors. And someone brought up a very good comment that if I have the 2 fusion reactors in there, both of those do shield charging. That's kind of their perk. So I wouldn't need 2 of the large shield chargers in place. And if I only had 6 large shield parts instead of 8, technically it would have a bigger shield in it, and save a little bit of cost as well in the overall build. So I'm really steering towards that, of going with in the large shield part it would have 4 banks and 2 chargers, and then it would be evenly matched on the medium and small shield parts. And then in addition, with the 2 fusion reactors, I think it would produce probably the biggest shield you could get to, and the overall hit points of the shield, short of having like a Bastion shield from Reforged Eden in the ship, which I think you could put in one of those in addition to the other shield parts. I don't plan on doing that stock though. That would be an upgrade option for players playing the game, kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at with the ship right now. There's going to be a lot of reworking, a lot of tweaking, a lot of figuring things out. And what's nice though, since I got most of the major hull work done, now it's just a lot of modding and tweaking and stuff like that. And I'll look at like each area individually and try to detail it and make it prettier and this, that, and the other thing. And if I can get some good looking, well placed nacelles on the ship, I'm going to be pretty happy. So that is another big goal I've got. Also in comments, there's a lot of talk about the detachable saucer. Yeah, pretty much all the comments kind of agree with me to not do that. And I'm totally, I'm not going to detach the saucer on here. I mean, again, I think it would be really cool. It fits with the lure, but Empyrion is not going to handle that well. It's going to ramp up the cost on the ship. It's going to make it more complicated to use and have a lot of side effects because of it. So I just don't want to do that. I think I'll end up wrecking the ship if I split it into two separate pieces and did that. It's just, again, maybe if Imperium handled that differently, that'd be cool. Now, it was also suggested to maybe have, I forget the exact name of the ship, but kind of like a ship for the captain, like something that can mount into the hull somewhere that looks appropriate. I'm thinking about that. I don't have any necessary plans on where I'd put that or how I'd go about that yet, but I am thinking about it. I don't know for sure if I'm going to go through with that, but I'm going to definitely have that in my mind when I'm trying to finish up the rest of the hull and get everything tweaked out on it. But overall, I think this should work. Of course, it's going to be an expensive creation. It's going to need a lot of quantum and or auxiliary cores, even to get this thing running stock. So it's again, it's an end game ship though, you know. So it's I guess other people brought up that, you know, if people want to use the ship and they don't want it to be so pricey, they can go through and they can remove some of these parts and you know, just save it that way and then use that version in their game. So I kind of wanted to keep most of this stuff intact. You know, it's going to have all these rooms and places set up to hold these parts, and I want it to look as best I could, and having a big open hole where a part's supposed to be is kind of detracting as well. I do that typically on starters and a lot of ships, but in this case, this is just a little bit different in this case. Another thing that was brought up too, and or I asked about, was the solar panels. And again, I believe the solar panels are going away in Reforged Eden 2. And I was asked if I should go through and set up the solar panels so you could put them in various like crew rooms and things like I did on the Proxima. And someone else came up with something that there is another part coming in Reforged Eden 2. And forgive me because I'm forgetting the name of it, but it kind of does what solar panels do, where they generate some power. And I asked that person for the dimensions, and the person responded right away with the dimensions of that. So what I'm going to do is not plan on putting any solar panels in the ship or accommodations for the solar panels, but I do want to put accommodations in for those future parts that are coming in Reforged Eden 2, which I do actually have the block sizes and dimensions for. So if I could, yeah, so then I can just have future upgrade slots somewhere in the ship for that. Now, right now, as in where I'm planning on putting a lot of these big parts and shield parts and that kind of stuff, I'm going to try to get a lot of that down in either the back part of the saucer over here, or even getting down into this central area. As long as I'm avoiding the hangar space, maybe in this general area. And then I was actually thinking about having production this time in the saucer itself, probably towards the back side of the saucer, though. Probably in this area. I've got room for like maybe. Now, I'm not going to be able to put every part down in here, though. So I'm going to probably have to put some shield parts, large shield parts or something up in the back part of the saucer. But again, I'm going to try to keep all the critical parts and that kind of explodey stuff away from the front side of the saucer. I mean, I do have these launchers up there right now, and who knows, this might get manipulated as well. And this is the front side of the saucer is also going to have some Xenoblock extra stuff going over the top of it here. God, am I missing anything else here? I feel like I'm forgetting some other aspects here that were brought up, but right now I just really wanted to show you what it kind of looks like all together, sort of, before it gets tweaked out a lot. And I'm fairly happy with it. I think if I can get these nacelles looking good and positioned right, I'm going to be fairly happy with this. And then, of course, texturing it is going to take some time to do. I'm not sure if I want to go with the pretty much the same type of gray look that the Proxima has, or if I want to go with a whiter approach. I guess, you know, there's a lot of different Star Trek ships out there, and they're colored differently. A lot of them are in the gray and white range for sure, but they have a lot of different paint jobs on them. So Everything's kind of up in the air right there on how this is actually going to look painted. And I do have to deal with a lot of structural frame blocks, which I'm going to have to pick like a base color for, and then set up the rest of the color palette for all the other blocks to match those as best as I can. Like right now, I got this all painted white right now, but if I even were to paint, oh, hold on, sorry, what just happened there? Oh, I guess I have it painted in this color. I guess it's not painted in white. Oh, that would be straight white. Okay, sorry about that. But anyway, if I painted the structural frame blocks in this shade, I think might be about right, and then I can have adjustments and set up the other blocks to try to match those the best I can with other custom colors and things like that. I gotta watch that when I paint it because of the use of structural frame blocks. But then again, you know, I'm really starting to like these structural frame blocks a lot. Man, I wish they were in the regular game and they're fully and you could use custom color palettes and texture them. That'd be pretty amazing. One thing dealing with structural frame blocks, I wanted to bring up too, can be a little bit challenging, especially because some of the parts are only for like right or left, and you have to have symmetry on for you to get the other part going. But I tell you what, once you place one of each shape, like if I wanted to change something really quickly here, using the control key and right clicking on any of these blocks copies that to your cursor. Like I just copied this block here, and that's kind of what I did. I would place a couple blocks per side, and then I would just kind of go through and just copy these things and keep on pasting them. And because they're so big and they cover such a large area on a lot of these structural frame blocks, I mean literally there's hardly any blocks across these whole sections over here, and it goes really fast when you're building too. Once you get the first few placed, doing that copy technique is pretty amazing actually. So I was able to just build the hull a little faster than I would have normally been able to build it with, even with regular blocks. So can't complain about that. But anyway, that's where the ship is at right now. Plan on the nacelles being reworked, the whole top of the saucer being revised, the back of the saucer being revised, the top of this area being revised. I haven't even started looking at how I'm going to land this thing on the ground yet. I got to figure that one out. And also, I'm a little concerned too, if you look at the position of where this hangar entry is, it's a few blocks above the actual ground level. So I'll have to figure out how I'm going to make that work. I don't think there's a ramp in the game big enough to go that far down to meet up to where the landing gears would actually be. And granted, a ship like this probably shouldn't be landing on a planet on a surface of a planet anyway, but it's Empyrion, and I would certainly like it to be able to do that, or be able to dock to another creation, like say some kind of big old platform Helios style ship or something like that. So I definitely want to have landing gear on it, and I'll work it out. I had the same dilemma with the Proxima too, trying to get the landing gear on here, and I finally found a solution where you really didn't see the landing gear very much, and it was kind of tucked in there. And but again, the Proxima is just a whole lot smaller ship than what this one is. Not on necessarily, again, the length and width, but just the interior space. The way this one's configured versus that, I'm actually thinking, since I kind of walked around and took a look at the Proxima, I actually think this is close to, probably pretty close to 4 times the interior space in this ship, or square footage, I guess you could say. But this is where it's at right now. Pretty excited and stoked. Please let me know any other comments that you got, anything that comes to mind on this. And I just wanted you to, so you got a good look at the all the different angles of the ship and what it's kind of looking like right now. And what do you think? Should anything be adjusted, stretched out, tapered down, besides the things I already brought up, like the nacelles and stuff like that? But yeah, really excited. Hopefully this will make for a nice ship in game. And of course, you know, on the interior too, it's going to have a fair amount of engineering with all the parts I want to put in there. So I'll be using up a fair amount of interior space for those parts, but it's going to have enough space left over to add in things, stuff that isn't necessarily for game, like the fluff stuff, I guess you would call it. So I'm also, even though I'm at this stage of the ship, I'm actually looking forward to building a new holodeck. I kind of I'll probably do, well, not necessarily similar, but the same general idea as how I did the holodeck in this ship, which I thought was kind of fun. Let me find it. Yeah, let me turn off my light here too. Where am I? That's what I get for flying through the hall. I get lost. All right, so let's see. Where is the holodeck? Holodeck was over here on this ship. And you know what? I didn't even realize, but I have got a setting really. I had the FOV set to 45 for a picture, and I forgot to set it back. Sorry about that. If everything looked kind of weird, that's why. So the holodeck on this one, I set up this, and I think I might do the same style, but have a completely different holodeck. And I got, if you got any ideas on what to have for the inside of a holodeck, which is basically something hopefully that would fit into Star Trek lore somewhere, and that's where this one came from. This whole holodeck in the ship here was a suggestion as well, and this was a Bajoran spa. And that was the suggestion on this one. I don't really know what a Bajoran spa is supposed to look like. I just ad hoc'd it and came up with this this thing, which is kind of a lot of fun to do. So I'm actually looking forward to the holodeck on the next ship. It might be a little bit bigger. This one also is going to have a farming section in it. Don't know how big that's going to be yet, but I'm pretty certain it's going to be larger than what the Proxima had, which is only I think 18 grow plots. This one will probably have 2 to 4 times that in grow plot potential. I'm thinking right now. So anyway, I think I said all I can say right now, and let me know what you think, and y'all have yourself a great day. I will talk to you later.